Hello, hello. This is the Thoughtful Age podcast, and today is my guest Elon Salfati, who is the founder and the CEO of the Salfati Group. And my today's guest is pretty interesting because he has also the engineering career as myself, and I believe they're pretty much of my audience as well. And he made this transition from engineer to a founder and to entrepreneur, and this kind of way and this move is always fascinating for me personally, and I would love to hear more about that story from you, Elon, today. So, could you please tell us about yourself as an introduction?
Yes, perfect. So thank you for the nice intro. I'm very happy to be here. Um, I think for me, I started my career around 13 years ago with the Israeli counterintelligence unit, where uh, I did a lot of software development projects, and I think this is where my tech career started. But since then, I've been in software engineering for until today, honestly. Uh, Even now, being a founder, but once you get to a point in your career, the for me it was at least the obvious next step was building something of my own. um, and if you, as an engineer, if you take all this background, all this knowledge, uh, we have like us engineers, we have a lot of tools to take us to the next step. Um, so that's what I did, and since then I've founded a few companies, and I'm currently, like we mentioned, the founder of Salfati Group, where we focused primarily on actually helping early stage startups, right? So we're a startup studio. Um, yeah.
Nice, nice. Those stories are always fascinating because every engineer, like almost every engineer I talk to, has this idea of starting his own company or starting his own product or making or having some pet project at home, and maybe doing something in parallel with their main job. But not many of us are determined enough to get to some stage when they can like go out and say, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." Is there anything in particular? What inspired you to make you the leap from software engineer to a startup founder? Maybe there was a specific moment or experience that was a catalyst for this change.
It's a funny one, actually. So I was, I think, probably one of the early positions that I had was a software engineer at an API security company. And when I joined this company, I was like the only software engineer in the company, and I grew like the entire R&D. Underneath me, hired engineers, data scientists, QA, product managers, and it was funny because at some point, like I received this like title of director of R&D because I grew like the entire company. There was no VP of R&D, and it was like kind of my position, but I never got the title. And funny enough, at some point after this company hired like four VPs of R&Ds, fired them after a month. It was like I was the obvious next choice, and when they decided to hire another VP of R&D, like that was the point where I said, okay, that's it. In any case, I'm like managing this entire product development and the entire team. I deserve better, and that's actually where I met, or when I met, my previous two co-founders. They just started to ideate around how we can help um, private banks in Switzerland. And one of my co-founders, who is also like born in Israel but then moved to Switzerland, decided like we need someone from Israel to lead the engineering part as a founder, and this is where when we actually met. Um, you know, I always preferred to get into a position where I can learn more rather than financially get more. Um, and it was the obvious choice at that point.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that makes sense. I was always chasing the opportunity there, where I will have uh, more responsibilities, where I will need to learn more
Exactly.
stuff, where I will to meet more people, and it was not always about the money. However, money like went after that.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
it's
If
kind.
you push it a little bit, then this is where you say, okay, like I've learned enough and now I can like solve the money problem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, and then it always comes to some coincidence as well. Like as you mentioned, you wanted other position, you wanted to move farther, and then you've met some guys who were also determined to do something, and then this the spark started and started the fire, and then it went on.
Exactly.
Tell me, yeah, tell me please, how has your technical background influenced your approach to entrepreneurship?
Mhm.
What unique skills do you think software engineer bring to the table when starting a business?
Oof. So I think the biggest benefit of being a software engineer and the founder, especially when you do this, I think the most obvious transition is getting to a point where you're the founder and CTO of a startup, and then at some point you become, well, not everyone. It depends on the personality of someone, but you might become the CEO of that company. And I think the biggest advantages that we as engineers have is the analytical approach, right? So if you look at many startups out there, the CEO is often a business person, and often they are very driven by their feelings and by their understanding of the world, but it's not analytical, right? And for me, the way that I manage the company is, or the way that I manage all the employees, it's always about getting those data-driven decisions, right? I want to see data. I want to see how many customers are we actually contacting every week, right? It's
Yeah,
just analytical,
metrics,
right?
metrics. Yeah,
Exactly.
having metrics.
And once you do that into, and you bring that into the business side, this is where things just becomes much more, in my eyes, successful.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Like very often when I talk to some entrepreneurs and their vision and their like imagination of the future, very often they lack those details, those small pieces that will help them progress even more farther and being more successful. And it's a good point that you brought up, that analytical skills that every software engineer possesses is something that might be crucial to every venture, not only startup but
Yeah.
any other company. So, in your journey as entrepreneur, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced while having this transition from a technical role to a leadership position, and how did you overcome them?
Uh, that's funny. It's actually a product problem, um, or a mentality problem, if you'd prefer. So I think that as engineers, uh, by by default, we aren't so great at building products. We are very good at solving technical solutions. We are very good at identifying how they how to implement the user flow or how to make it efficient and like all those stuff. But at the early stage startup stage, none of it matters. So it's all about the user journey, and it's all about understanding the problem that you're trying to solve, understanding the pain, often actually the emotional pain that you're trying to solve. And at that point, you want to solve for this. It doesn't matter that the product is not efficient. It doesn't matter that that everything is like in a huge monolith. Like none of it matters. Are you solving the problem or not? And I think that many engineers, including myself, like this is where we aren't great. And once we get to this point of becoming entrepreneurs and we are building this amazing product, and it took us 4 to 5 months to bring something that we are happy to because we wanted it to be perfect. And then we bring it out to the new customer and said, well, that's nice, but that's not actually my problem. Like that's the awakening call.
resonates with me, with myself. Like I'm seeing myself, and I'm seeing my peer engineers as well when we look at some requests from the products about building one or another feature. The mostly the user is thought about the last, but not, uh, but the architecture, the technology stack, the whatever tech debt we want to handle, and it's a huge point that you brought up, that we'd rather point on user and the ultimate experience, and not those small pieces that will make engineers happy but wouldn't make users happy. And it's more crucial when you're in a startup. You want to deliver fast, you want to like learn more, you want to gain customers, and you definitely
Yes.
don't want you definitely don't want a huge amount of tech debt, but like just plan accordingly and have your priorities. Like, let's say I will do that tech dev later. I will bring up more microservices later, or do some other fancy architecture maybe in a year, or in half a year, or in several months when I will have enough time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very insightful. And if we are moving on and talking more about building the teams, how did you go about building your team, and what qualities did you look for in your initial hires, and how important was you for you to strike a balance between technical and non-technical team members?
Yeah. So I'll be honest, I'm not sure that I already figured it out 100%. I think that I'm still figuring it out, but all of it, I will always figure new things out. But this one in particular is interesting because I've been through many iterations of hiring the first team, right? So it's my third company now. Salfati Group is my third company. And I also helped many other early stage startups hire. I've tried a lot of approaches, right? So I've heard anything from like you lack financial resources, hire juniors, right? And then train them in house, and uh, you'll have everything ready and cheap. So that didn't work because like you invest 80% of your time training them, and when they are ready, finally, it can take
They
sometimes a
just
year, they just go,
they
right?
just leave.
Someone pays them like
Yeah,
triple the amount. And I've heard, the first 10 employees must be seniors because they will be able to deliver. But then, but then what I did is I hired like seniors, 10 plus years, and they lack the spark. They lack the passion, right? So they don't as eager as juniors to like conquer the world often, right? Not 100%, but that's what happened. Um, and then eventually, at some point, I started hiring based on like the person's fire to the mission, right? Are you like, do you believe in the mission? Do you like, if you could have done anything, would you have done what we are doing? Is it something that you want to do in any case? And I think that passion is the key to hiring good teams, because it doesn't matter the experience. If you have the passion, they will learn. And if they are already experienced, they will teach others. So you need like a mix of passionate people, those who will put the mission as first priority.
Hmm. Interesting perspective. Yeah, it's definitely crucial for any startup to build a strong team, and to balance their skills, and as you mentioned, like maybe trying different approaches, which works, which does not. But that idea of just trying to match people to your culture, to your mission, and to your aspirations, it's very insightful. And ultimately, I believe that worked well. And like you just started to get more and more people that are engaged, that are more interested in the success of the company, and they are ready to bring best of themselves to the work and to the project they do. And uh, yeah, I like that idea personally because I also believe the culture is an essence of every organization, of every company, and I believe it's even more important for the startup to operate that way because there is a scarcity of resources, scarcity of time, and you don't want to
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
you don't want to waste them like on something that's not that important. Uh, and With that in mind, let's discuss staying up to date with industry trends and technological advancements. As a founder with the software engineering background, I believe you have always adaptation to learn about all of the technologies, all the new stuff on the market, and still ensure that your company remains agile and innovative. So how you do that?
Mhm. Um, so it's funny, actually, I had this conversation not too long ago with a friend. He asked me pretty much the same question. And I actually didn't know the answer at the beginning. Like, I felt like I was up to date with most of the stuff. I wasn't sure where from. Um, I think, first of all, like a big shout out to a friend of mine at Ido, the CTO and founder of Daily Dev. I love their product. Um, to those who's listening who aren't familiar with the product, it's an extension that sits on the top of the browser, and whenever you open a new tab, you just see a lot of new um, blog posts and articles around the things that are interesting to us engineers. And I love it. It's always on top of my desktop, and just I keep like reading new stuff. Just the titles even, um, but it's perfect. I love it. And then on top of that,
Wait a second.
obviously,
Wait a
uh
second. I'm taking a note. How is it called?
it's called Daily Dev.
Okay, daily dev browser extension, right?
Yeah, I love it. They're a cool team.
Cool.
Um,
What?
and then on top of
Anything
that, I
else?
think a lot of LinkedIn and Twitter. I try to keep my network focused on the people that I'm interested in, and usually, me as a founder, me as a software engineer, like my network is pretty much a lot of similar personas around me. Um, just hearing everyone who's willing to share their knowledge with me.
Hmm. Can you share any like famous people on the internet that you follow and admire?
Yeah, so I really like the CEO of Cal.com. Um, their like insights on how to build a startups is incredible. Just generally speaking, I really love open source startups, and some of them go to this extension of becoming an open startup, like Cal.com, and they just completely share their entire process, everything from internal metrics to how they hire and everything. So it's very inspirational. I'm really fascinated about. Uh, they go by Levzio on Twitter. Uh, they like he is the co-founder of Nomad List and also an open startup. He shares everything online. It's quite interesting to see as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for sharing. I believe I will follow them as well from now on. And uh, as one of my guests previously mentioned, that another good source of information and new trends and new things that are happening on the market is expose yourself more to offline events, going to conferences, visiting different places where the people present their work and talk about their achievements and their products. This is also, I found for myself, this is also a valuable advice. Like just
Yeah,
going out more, like meet the people, and especially the uh, conference and tech. And as I live in Bay Area, we have just an abundance of that. And I believe you might have as well in your area where you live
yeah,
right now.
Definitely. Actually, as a founder, this is, you just meet so interesting people at those events. A lot of venture capitals and angel investors and other founders. It's inspiring to see.
Exactly, exactly. No, it's just like meeting people. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy like talking to them and like learning
Yeah.
about their experience, about their ways and the way they do stuff. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about effectively communicating technical concepts to non-technical stakeholders, such as investors or customers, in a way that is both engaging and informative.
Oh, yeah. My go-to is not to communicate the technical stuff. It's communicating the, it's communicating the benefits. And I think it goes, not only to um, stakeholders or VCs, or it goes all the way to the customers and even internally, honestly. It's also something that us engineers often tend to forget. No one cares about the fact that you can uh, click on the keyboard on C and it will create a new, whatever component in the system. They all care about the fact that you made their life shorter. The time, sorry, oh my God, not their life shorter, the task shorter. Uh, it's it's all about solving that pain again, right? So if we take, for example, Superhuman, right, the email client, it's not about all the shortcuts. It's not about the user experience. It's about answering and replying to all your network, to all the incoming traffic quickly. Right? That's what you're trying to pitch. And and for me, that's the message. It's not about the technical stuff. Rarely I've encountered people who actually care about the technical stuff. Usually it's at the implementation stage. And usually at that point, you can talk to a CISO, to a VP of R&D, to a DevOps engineer, and then it's very easy to communicate those stuff, right? Because it's like their job.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I see. I see very well the point here. So when you talk to customers and stakeholders, you want to talk about the pain, the problem you solve, the
Yes.
value that product, the value that product brings to the table, and not about that small technical aspects.
Yeah, it
However,
was
sometimes it
challenging
is
for me as
important.
well.
Yeah, especially when you not coding day to day, you're not dealing with the technologies either. So it would be definitely hard to you for you to explain for a stakeholder how to initialize a bean in Spring Boot or something like that.
That's true.
Okay, okay, moving on then. And as a founder, as an entrepreneur, and giving the demand and nature of running a startup and the potential for long hours and high stress levels, how do you maintain a health work-life balance, or do you at all?
So I'm a big believer at this statement that says, like, if you do something that you love, you don't work a day in your life. And honestly, as founders, we get to choose, right? We get to choose what we work on. We get to choose what mission we embark on. And I don't feel like I'm working. I'm working insane hours. Don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like I'm working. Um, I would have done it in any way, even if I weren't receiving money for it. Um, so like,
Mm,
I don't know. You get to, I get to walk the dog at the mid of the day because, I can, and I get to work on the things that I love.
I see. I see. So you don't even differentiate now, like the work and your life.
Exactly.
So you just live your life. You just
Yeah.
do things that you enjoy to do. Like either it's walking out the dog or like hanging out with friends or doing some stuff in your venture or like meeting with customers or
Yeah.
working with a team. It's
What could
a
be
very
better?
beautiful. Yeah, it's a very beautiful concept. I like that a lot, and I'm trying to embrace that in my life too. Just don't perceive your work as just work. It is
Yeah.
some like, if you don't like what you do, why do you work there? You'd rather love your work. You'd rather
Oh yeah.
love whatever you do, and then everything will start to uncover, and then you'll realize it is just the life which goes this way. You do that stuff in the morning, then something else afternoon, and then whatever it is coming in the evening, and like just embrace it and enjoy. There's no other way around. Yeah,
Yeah, so true. I agree
beautiful
with that.
concept. Like it very much. Uh, as we continue, let's discuss advice for the software engineers considering becoming an entrepreneurs. Is there anything you can suggest? Is there anything from your own experience that was a key point for you that maybe helped you along the way?
Oh, I like this question actually. So, um, what I'm doing today at Salfati Group is that we are helping, like I said at the beginning, we're helping early stage founders reach early product market fit. And the way that I believe startups should be built, it's all about building sustainable businesses rather than only hyper growth startups. And it goes like all the way, right? Because you will get the best term sheet for a seed investment when you don't need the money. Like those are the best deals. And you will build the best team when you actually care about every cent that you spend, and when you actually care about every customer that you spend, and your entire focus will go into the direction of gaining that business, right? And at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. Um, so that's what I pitch to all the companies in our portfolio. It's all about like building the sustainable business. And for us software engineers, we get to bring to the table, for me, probably, I would say the most expensive part of building a business, because I, I, I accept the fact that most software engineers don't feel comfortable doing the sales part, and guilty as charged, right? I don't like it. Um, but I think that when you change perspective and when you get to a point where we say, hey, we are building a solution that solves a real pain, right? And you need to bring your own resources to get to a point where you can say that. You're solving a real pain. Often it's something that we can relate to. I'm not selling, right? I'm trying to help people solve the same pain that I'm feeling. And at this point, it made my life so much easier. And it just, the sales part are just not expensive. It's not an expensive thing to do. It's just talking to people. It's just your time.
Hmm.
And as software engineers, we bring in the expensive part because you need to build a product and no one will build the product for free for you. It's much harder to learn software engineering and cloud infrastructure and AI and all the crazy technology that is happening today. So build something small, and build it only after you know the definition of the problem. Start with the problem, with the pain, talk to people at the beginning, and once you understand the pain, once you have people who say, "Hey, yes, I will use this tool," then build an MVP no longer than 2 weeks. It's hard for us to hear, but 2 weeks. Solve 90%
Hmm.
of the problem 10% of the time. This is like how you achieve success.
I
This is how you
see.
achieve
I
business.
see.
That's even better.
Yeah. So the same concept, like embrace whatever you need to do. Like if you're just selling, just don't say it is selling. It is just you're talking to people and trying to solve their problems.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
like it.
us.
I like it. And as we are wrapping up, and finally, let's reflect on some of key lessons learned through your journey. What are some of the final things you want to recommend or tell the listeners about your journey as a software engineer, uh, turning entrepreneur, that you believe crucial,
Mhm.
like in both fields?
Ah, I think um, don't afraid to ask for help from the right organizations. Usually, yeah, first timers. It's a hard journey to be in. It's an emotional journey to be in, and it's okay to bring a lot of similar minds around you, people that can help you on your journey. And there's like, don't underestimate the founders community. We all want to help each other. Um, like, ask for help, get guidance on how you do it. Even, in many cases, you will need to even give equity away, and it's fine. It's like your first journey. Entrepreneurship is not one startup. It's about defining your own personal mission and following that throughout your life. And it can change. It's fine, but it needs to have some core that you follow. So don't be afraid to ask for help, and then don't afraid to start. Like, just do. People just get so
Awesome.
wrapped up in their mind, building the product or in defining the marketing, or just will it work or will it not? Just try. That's the best way to find out.
Amazing, amazing. Just don't afraid and get it done. Just start. Maybe not get it done, but just start, and then you'll
Mhm.
realize where it will guide you, or like, is it gonna be successful?
Yeah, I think that I actually got this exercise from a friend of mine. I was on their advisory board, and he told me once, you hear about all those successful founders, the CEO of Twitter kind of guys, but just as an exercise, if you will go to all those founders and you will scroll through their experience on LinkedIn, probably like 80% of them, you will see maybe six or seven other co-founder position at different companies, usually six or seven positions where they fail. This is how you grow. Like, you need to fail six or seven times to have a successful company. I hope that anyone who's listening and trying, you won't, but it's probably going to happen, and this is how you learn.
Good statistic as well.
Yeah,
However, yeah, good advice. Anyway, thank you so much, Elon, for joining me today, and for
thanks for
everybody
having
who
me.
is listening. Subscribe to Elon LinkedIn. I will post the link to the description of this video, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.